My name is Sharon Durkin, District 8 City Councilor, and I'm the chair of Boston City Council's Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation. Today is March 25th, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/citycouncil-citycouncil-TV and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, Fios Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee at ccc.plandev@boston.gov and will be made part of the public record and available to all counselors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of the hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up to testify, and they will have 2 minutes to testify. If you are interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our central staff liaison, Rob Cobb, at ron.cobb@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today is a really important hearing because we are looking into the appointments that have been offered by the mayor and need to be approved by the city council. I'm grateful to my colleagues, Councilor Ed Flynn and Councilor Liz Braden, for being here. We will be taking one of the appointments virtually, and let me know when that's available. I think he's planning to attend at 10, but I'm not sure that this is all ready yet. So I guess in the order of folks that are here, I want to share that we've shared resumes and more information in our packets. So anyone who wants to see the resumes of those who have been put up for appointment, that should be on your desk. I'm going to go ahead and read the list of dockets that we are dealing with today. Docket 0144, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Felisa Jacks as a member of the South End Landmarks Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0145, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Thomas Road as a member of the 4 Point Channel Landmarks Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0146, message and order for the confirmation of reappointment of Catherine Hunt as a member of the South End Landmarks District Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0147, message and order for the confirmation of a reappointment of John Freeman as a member of the South End Landmarks Commission, South End Landmark District Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0148, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of John Amadeo as a member of the South End Landmark District Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0149, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Terry North as a member of the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Confirmation Commission for a term expiring on January 15th, 2027. Docket 0150, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Christopher DeWard as a member of the South End Landmarks District Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0151, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Pamela Beal as a member of the Bay State West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation Commission, Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring January 15th, 2027. Docket 0152, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Rule Longfellow as a member of the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring January 15th, 2027. Docket 0153, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Lynn Smilage as a member of the 4 Point Channel Landmark District Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0539, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of John Amadeo as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Docket 0540, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Fadi Samaha as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Docket 0541, message and order for the confirmation of the appointment of Selena Barrios Miller as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Docket 0542, message and order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Michael Woodall as a member of the Boston Water and Sewer Commission for a term expiring January 3rd, 2028. Docket 0567, message in order for the confirmation of the reappointment of Susan Gagnian as a member of the 4 Point Channel Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. Docket 0568, message in order for the confirmation of Susan Gagnian as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. These matters were sponsored by Mayor Wu and were referred to the committee on January 24th, February 7th, and March 2024 meetings. Today I'm joined by my colleagues in the order of arrival: Councillor Ed Flynn, Councillor Liz Braden, okay, and sorry, I'm realizing I think I have a few more that I need to read. I'm sorry, I'm getting used to this. I'm not yet the clerk, so the clerk has to do this all the time, but I have to read all of these into order. Docket 0150, message in order for the confirmation of Jeffrey Hine as member of the 4 Point Channel Landmarks Commission for a term expiring January 20th, 2027. Docket 0292, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Craig Douglas as a member of the Bay Village Historic Commission for a term expiring April 1st, 2026. Docket 0293, message in order for the confirmation of Laura Shea as a member of the Bay Village Historic District Commission for a term expiring April 1, 2026. Docket 0294, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Catherine Socorra Nelson as a member of the Bay Village Historic District Commission for a term expiring April 1st, 2026. Docket 0295, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Stephen Dunwell as a member of the Bay Village Historic District Commission for a term expiring April 1st, 2026. Docket 0534, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Senem Kumia as a member of the Bay Village Historic District Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Docket 0535, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Franklin Ross as a member of the Back Bay Architectural District Commission for a term expiring March 18th, 2029. Docket 0536, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Fadi Smaha as a member of the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2029. Docket 0537, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Selena Barrios Miller as a member of the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District Commission for a term expiring February 5th, 2027. Sorry, thank you for your patience as we got through that. Is Michael Woodall on the call? Okay, so we'll give Michael Woodall 2 minutes to open up. Hi, Michael. I've heard, Chairman, I've heard you're in London, so I wanted to give you, and I know you have a busy day ahead, so I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak. So I think everyone will get everyone will get 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions, and you know, up to 5 minutes of questions. But so go ahead, Chairman, and current Chairman of the Boston Water Sewer Commission.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of the council, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue in my role as the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners of the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. I'm honored to serve the rate holders and the mayor and all of you in that role, and I look to continue to collaborate with the staff over there as well as the folks across the city to deliver the best water services that we possibly can, the cleanest water services we possibly can, to work with everybody to ensure great infrastructure as it relates to the services that we deliver, to keep an eye on climate change and the things that we're doing to work with that, as well as continue to run a fiscally sound organization, which right now is probably at its best it's ever been. And as I said, I look forward to doing this in the future years.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for my council colleagues? Councillor Flynn?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. And nice to see you.
It's good to see you. Thank you for being with us. I had the opportunity to work with you and the entire Boston Water and Sewer team for a number of years. I know the incredible leadership that the board plays and the personnel play in ensuring residents of Boston have quality drinking water, sewer services, and just wanted to highlight the responsiveness of the water and sewer team when there's an issue in particular neighborhoods. Calling over to the water and sewer, they're always available. They always return phone calls, whether it's a Saturday night or Sunday morning, and they take their job seriously. And that's what I respect about you and your team and the director. And just want to say thank you to the Water and Sewer Commission for providing the residents of Boston with professional services and being very responsive. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and thank you for those kind comments. And you hit it on the head. The folks that work there are phenomenal people and servants of the city.
Yep. Madam Chair, I don't have any further questions.
Thank you so much. Councillor Braden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we get introduced to this thing. Here we go. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks also to the folks at Boston Water and Sewer. I know we're in a very important moment with regard to the challenges of stormwater management, and I know we're going to be doing stormwater charges on our water bills coming up. We're scrutinising our bill this weekend. So I think it's a very important time to make sure that your commission is fully up to speed and that you've all your commissioners in place. So I'm happy to support this nomination or to support the reappointment of Michael Woodall to the Boston Water and Sewer Commission this morning. So thank you for all your great work. We certainly have some significant challenges in this time of climate change and extreme weather events, and thank you for all your work. Very important.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you very much. And I can assure you of a great asset in the Boston Water and Sewer Commission to support all of those endeavors that the city faces. And we have great open communication across the organization as well and across the city. So I look forward to that collaboration, and it's an honor to serve the folks of Boston.
Thank you so much, Chairman Woodall. And with that, I will bid you adieu, or however, if there's a phrase in London, I'll let you go back to your day. But thank you so much for being here, and it was a pleasure to take you out of order. I'm really honored, to see the work that you all do, and excited to partner with you in the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I'd like to recognize members of the administration. Joe Cornish and Reverend Mariama White-Hammond for opening. Do you guys have opening statements?
Sure. I'm Joe Cornish, Director of Design Review for the Boston Landmarks Commission. I just want to thank all of our new commissioners and commissioners who are being reappointed to our district commissions in the Boston Landmarks Commission, to thank them for all of their dedication, and to thank our new commissioners who are coming on for their patience through this process. It's a very long process. I warn people when we talk to them that it's a long process, but I'm very thankful, and I look forward to working with them all. And I want to thank the Mayor's Office for their ongoing help managing this, which is a beast to manage, and we're slowly trying to get our commissioner appointments back in line and in good order.
Thank you so much. Reverend Mariama White-Hammond?
Yes, I echo Joe's comments. When I first joined in this role, I think not a single commissioner was up to date because of, COVID and lots of things have lapsed, and so we've been really working to make sure that we're completely up to date, and this will get us a good deal of the way there. Really excited that new folks are joining. It's really important in our commissions that we have a strong balance between people who have been in the work for a while and bring perspective and institutional knowledge, and new folks that bring new opinions and represent other communities. So we're really glad that this is moving forward. And I just want to put in a plug that this is probably not our last hearing. I reached out to Councillor Durkin, and I want to just thank you because you have recognized the importance of this. It can feel like something that's bureaucratic and as Joe mentioned, quite arduous. But the reality is that making sure that we have residents from across our city who are serving and focusing on these issues is really important in terms of protecting our neighborhoods and making sure that they are both honoring our past and able to change, but in a way that doesn't totally uproot the fabric of our community. So thank you again, for folks, for serving, for showing up, for being patient through this process. And we look forward to making progress today and then probably another follow-up as we continue to move more appointments through. I do have some corrections that we
I was
noticed.
going to read them near the end. 'Cause
Okay, great.
I know someone is reviewing them right now just to
Yes.
make sure it's 100%, and then I'll be revisiting those
Okay,
dockets.
beautiful.
Thank you. So I know we have a marathon hearing planned, and I'm excited for those who are here in person. I want to start with those that are being put forward to be part of the Boston Landmarks Commission. Could you come forward and actually you could probably sit in these chairs if that makes sense.
I don't know that there's anyone here for Boston Landmarks Commission present. I think we have mostly District Commission members. There should, Lindsay. Lindsay.
Yes.
There should be some attending virtually who are Boston
Got it.
Landmarks.
Okay. So Lindsay Marie Mac Jones. It is being appointed to the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring March 18, 2027. Wanted to give you the opportunity for an opening statement for just what it means to you to be part of, or to be appointed.
Sure. So I'm trained as an architect. I've worked in architecture and planning. Right now I'm the mom to 3 small boys, and it just means a lot to me to do my part to volunteer, to be some small part of protecting, the built environment of Boston, and to see those historic buildings continue on so that when my boys grow up, Boston looks a little bit like what it looked like when I was a kid going downtown with my grandmother and my mother. So.
Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add? And then I'll open it up the floor to my colleagues, Councillor Flynn and Councillor Braden. Okay, perfect. Councillor Flynn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I was just looking for the resume on this. Okay.
Is it in there?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Madam Chair, I have it here. Well, Madam Chair, would you be able to go to Council Braden, and I'll take a quick look at the resume?
Yes. Councillor Braden?
Thank you for your willingness to put yourself forward to be to work in the Landmarks Commission. It's a really huge. I get how important it is. Like, this is such a historic city, but we're also a modern, growing city. So trying to get the balance right. From your perspective as an architect, how do you navigate that space in terms of your understanding of planning and historic preservation?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think, in architecture school, I had one professor that used to talk about the heroes and the soldiers or something like that, that there are certain buildings that take sort of a heroic role, that sit forward, that are more of the main characters, if you will, of the cityscape, and then some of the other buildings that, whether they're new or they're old, that are a little bit more of a supporting cast, and making sure that you're protecting, the character that we have, but also understanding that everything works together as a symphony and not having more like outliers, and just that everything works together in a cohesive way, I guess. And thinking about the the experience of someone in the city. You know, the city and the human scale is important as well, and a lot of historic buildings are very good at that. So, having things in a similar scale.
Yeah. And we have a home rule petition up at the State House to try and change the wording so that, you know, there's the historic significance of at a national state, but we haven't really emphasized the local significance. And
Yeah.
I think so much of when you get into neighborhoods, something that's really significant at the local level may be totally overlooked from a state perspective or a national perspective.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think having everything rise to the level of national significance, it's too heavy of a lift. If that's the bar that everything has to get over, I think we're going to end up losing a lot of what we would consider to be historic fabric, and we'll have everything new or everything sort of up for grabs, and then just little individual characters popping up here and there that rise to the national level, when what we really need is to understand that the continuity of that historic fabric is important as well. And it may be the case that, you know, some buildings on an exterior you want to try to touch as little as possible, almost nothing, and then in some buildings, you know, the way the landmarking could be written would be maybe a little bit less strict, but that they still have some kind of protection in those neighborhoods to preserve the fabric, and to understand that not everything has to be a national importance for it to be important, especially to the people that live in different neighborhoods. And each of our neighborhoods has such a different character, you know, that it's its own world in some of the neighborhoods, and understanding those fabrics and the way the buildings play together is very important.
And some of our historic, like our more industrial style buildings have very great significance as well, because that's a reflection of our past. And they're still functional buildings, like you don't just knock them down.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's interesting to see the different kinds of buildings that become important in people's minds. I know sometimes those industrial buildings, in more of an old way of looking at historic preservation, maybe not have been as well loved, and now people are understanding that more of those buildings, you know, have historic significance as well, even when they are still working buildings, or even when they do have a past that's maybe not as glamorous as being, you know, a church or a museum or what have you, an old warehouse or an old, especially some of those shipbuilding, you know, that we lost in East Boston a decade ago would have been great to save back then. But
Thank you for your commitment. Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Braden. Now I'll go to my colleague, Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Lindsay, for the important work and leadership you are doing throughout the city. I just have one question. As an architect and someone that's committed to historic preservation, how do you balance historic preservation and the other side in terms of moving a city forward with development projects and ensuring that the city moves and is able to get revenue as we build these beautiful buildings? What balance do you think is important as you consider those issues?
right, I do think there is a balance to be struck, and sometimes it is tricky to walk the line between something that's extremely historic and beloved versus how to make it work in a modern city and in an economic way. And I think there may be a case to be made for different types of landmarking, or looking at different historic buildings in different ways, where some are the most historic, right, that we would never want to touch them, that we're looking at upkeep and protection and making sure that, view corridors or whatever are protected, and then some in the middle that may be great candidates for something like an adaptive reuse. And there are many projects in the city where that's been done very successfully, and it's, saving what we can save and lovingly bringing it forward so that it can find its new use, with whether it's an addition or an internal renovation or a combination of the two. There are definitely ways that historic buildings can be made to work for modern purposes. So I think it's just taking each case, maybe is what I'm saying. Taking each case, seeing what the historic value is, what's the most important part, what really should be left, what really could be helped along or massaged in a new way to a new use. And understanding too, when you're looking back at the fabric of the city, how if you're building something completely new, whether it's an addition or a new building next door, not having what's new be a total slave to what's in existence, like you can't do this, you can't do that, but understanding how they can work together in the same fabric without the needs of either one overshadowing the other.
Yeah, thank you. And Madam Chair, I just have one final question to Lindsay. How does a resident determine what is historic in a particular neighborhood? What building is historic that may not have the criteria, but that resident or that neighborhood thinks that that building is historic and should be preserved somehow? How do you balance that, and what would residents or neighborhood organizations do in that particular case?
So I would think a lot of those sorts of discussions would be happening on a neighborhood, a landmark, a neighborhood group, and I think that's the important thing of having such a mix of people on those neighborhood commissions. So you have, for example, neighbors as well as local historic commissions, or maybe the business commissions or whatever that's going on in that neighborhood, plus landmarks commissioners who maybe have a little bit more of a further view, so that it's really a conversation, because every neighbor who lives next to a building for 50 years might think it has historic significance, and maybe a brand new developer who's coming in and doesn't know the neighborhood will think nothing has historic significance, and it may just have to be a conversation between multiple levels, multiple groups, all the stakeholders, to understand what really should not be lost. And again, I think it may be a case-by-case basis. It's hard to say, because everyone has a different view of what's historic and what definitely needs to be saved and what can be wiped away for the sake of progress. And so I think just has to be a careful conversation with different stakeholders, looking at things from different angles.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. Madam Chair, I have no further questions. I'm looking forward to supporting this nomination.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Councillor Flynn, and thank you. You are relieved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so now I'd like to invite up those attempting to be, or the appointments for the Bay Village Historic District Commission. Can you say it again?
This may be something we need to correct, so if she could be taught part of this conversation, and then we can walk through all of the shifts.
Okay. Yes, respectfully, I think I do need to go through the dockets that are in front of me, but we'll go to you last. So we'll have them two go first. Yeah, go ahead and take a seat. I'm sorry that I just have what's in front of me. So, okay. So I think if you can introduce yourself, and you have up to 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Steve
Oh, sorry.
Dunwell.
Go ahead.
Hello. My name is Stephen Dunwell, and I live in Bay Village. I'm one of the commissioners. I'm being reappointed. And I just wanted to quickly say that I am a champion of historic preservation. I am privileged to live in a historic district, and I am dedicated to preserving the fabric that we have already enjoyed and preparing for the future.
Thank you so much. Any questions from my colleagues, Councillor Flynn or Councillor Braden?
I don't have any questions. Just want to thank you for your willingness to continue, be reappointed. So thank you for all your work. It's very important.
Thank you. And I live in Beacon Hill, but I used to be the chair of the Ward 5 Democratic Committee, and we had Bay Village in it. And I have grown to love doing things in Bay Village. And the former counselor for this district, Kenzie Bach, obviously is from Bay Village, so know a lot about it. And thank you for your work. It's a great community, and really honored to have it so close to where I live. so I think we'll go down the line.
Madam Chair, could I?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Steve, for the important work you are doing in the city. I'm honored to represent the Bay Village. I love the neighborhood, I love the community and the residents. They play a critical role in the city. Their engagement on quality of life issues and neighborhood services is exceptional. But the neighborhood itself is a great community because of the residents and their passion and engagement. So I had the opportunity to work with you on many issues, and you're very professional and understanding and respectful to everybody. So a tremendous asset to the city of Boston. Want to say thank you, and thank you for the important work you are doing in the city.
Thank you. And if you want to go next, and then you can go last, and then because I don't have this docket in front of me, what I might suggest is that when it does come before the council, if it hasn't yet, I can recommend, since you came to this hearing, I can recommend a suspend and pass on your particular docket because you're physically here. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience, and I know you have take so much time and to be here, and then also all of the civic work that exists within being appointed to these commissions is already a lot of work. So obviously want to respect your time. So have both of you go. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Laura Shea. I'm a resident of Isabella Street in Bay Village, a longtime resident of Bay Village and a native Bostonian. Thank you for the nomination. Thank you, Joe. I'm new to this process, so I'm looking forward to helping preserve the work that Ann and Steve and the other commissioners have done already, and to preserve the quality of our neighborhood.
Thank you. Any questions for my colleagues, Councillor Braden or Councillor Flynn?
No questions. Thank you. No questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm looking forward to supporting this wonderful nomination when it does come before us. And it's an excellent choice by the mayor and the mayor's team. So thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing in the city.
Thank you. And so now we'll move on to our next.
Good morning. My name is Ann Kilgus. I've been a resident of Bay Village for 45 years and own one of the oldest houses there. I am the Historic New England delegate to the commission and have been involved with Historic New England for over 30 years. I was trained as a historian in my academic career and really enjoy preserving Bay Village and making the difficult decisions about changes we make for the 21st century, and often considering, well, what if the people who first established the neighborhood were here, such as our gas lights. I said, I think they'd be in favor of new lights because they know what we're struggling with, as an example of our kind of work. It's a privilege to work with the group, and I love the neighborhood, I love the city, and I look forward to our continued work.
Thank you so much. Any questions for my colleagues?
I would just echo what I've mentioned in the past. Ann would be a tremendous asset. She's an incredible leader in the city, loves the Bay Village neighborhood, and proud to work with the residents of the Bay Village to represent the Bay Village. But the Bay Village is a wonderful community, as I mentioned, because of the engagement of so many people that really care about this neighborhood. And as the city councilor, I treat this neighborhood as any other traditional neighborhood where city services, critical neighborhood services are necessary, such as street cleaning and in public safety, in ensuring city government and city services work for everyone in this neighborhood. So I couldn't do my job without the engagement of the residents of the Bay Village and their wonderful neighborhood association as well. So I'm looking forward to supporting this nomination. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And seeing no other questions, thank you for your service, and look forward to supporting your nomination. So thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll go to the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission. A familiar face. And I'll just note, I know that we do have some folks attending virtually from each of these. So what I'm going to do is make sure that we get to everyone in person, and then we'll move to virtual in the same order. Okay, go ahead, Pam.
Morning, my name is Pam Beal, and I want to just say thank you for the opportunity and for this reappointment. I care greatly about this neighborhood, and I've been part of it for more than 50 years as a small business person and resident, so I appreciate the engagement and enjoy the engagement very much, and I also want to take this opportunity to thank Joe Cornish, who has done such amazing work. He is so gracious. Everybody that makes an application, everybody that's trying to get anything done within the city, he's always very welcoming and very helpful and educates everybody in the importance of the work that all of us do and make sure that everything is done right. So thank you, Joe. Very much appreciated. It's a pleasure to work with you.
And thank you, Pam, for all of your work. I know from, the Kenmore Business Association to Charles Gate Alliance and so many other things. It's like everything in Kenmore Square has your name attached to it because you volunteer for everything. And so the idea that, that when no one is in the room thinking about something, you're in the room thinking about it. So thank you for doing that. And this is obviously an important commission, and look forward to supporting your reappointment. And thank you for showing up in person because you didn't have to, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So I will go to my colleagues, Councillor Flynn, Councillor Braden. Any questions for Pam?
Madam Chair, I don't have any questions. Just want to say thank you to Pam for serving the residents of the city of Boston so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you so much, Pam. You are relieved.
Thank you. Work with you as our new city councilor, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, now we are moving to the 4-Point Channel Landmark District Commission. Any folks here in person? Lynn, is that you? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I'll give you 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes, and then see if my colleagues have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Lynn Smilage. I live in the Back Bay. I've been privileged to be a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for 13 years, 12 of those years as chair, and 12 years on the 4-Point Channel Commission. The work has been challenging, enlightening, disturbing. I learned a lot about the pressures of economic development on preservation, and I think our focus has evolved or expanded to really concentrate these days on the importance of adaptive reuse, recycling the buildings that we have. Demolishing buildings, there's a horrible cost to the environment. And we're doing our darndest to further retention of buildings and reuse of buildings. Yes.
Oh, I was going to say thank you so much. And if you have more, I was just going to say in that respect, are there any specific examples of what you've experienced in the last few years that that have really led you to thinking of that reuse as part of historic preservation, both historic preservation, but also the environmental side of that?
We see so many demolitions in the neighborhoods. A little house that happens to be on a big lot, so it represents a real opportunity, to a developer to really destroy that streetscape by removing that house and replacing it with a 6, 8, 10, family unit or structure. We've had some successes in convincing owner applicants to keep a house, maybe make an addition, create another freestanding building on the property if it's large enough. I would consider those successes. I think we're seeing so much loss of fabric and character in Dorchester and Roxbury and outside of the center city. So I think that's been the most satisfying work, probably.
And thank you so much. Any questions from Councillor Flynn or Braden?
Thank you. I think you've touched on some of the, some of the concerns I think about in our neighbourhood in Alston Brighton is demolishing a perfectly good habitable building house, and then I think we're making some ground, making some headway to have that building recognised as an asset rather than a liability. If it's got good bones and workable, it's workable to rehabilitate it and convert it into other, maybe make it into separate units, but also tastefully adding other units behind it if it's on a big lot, so that we're sort of the best of both worlds. You try and preserve the architectural character of the street,
Right.
and but also adding much needed housing behind it. So, and then the other concern is the whole issue around back to stormwater again, like making sure that we're preserving permeable surfaces so that we can absorb some of the stormwater, the rain that's falling, and not have
particular concern in 4-Point Channel.
Yes.
Because of the addressing rising sea level and mitigating these things.
Yeah. So there's a lot of competing issues, but I think if we all put our heads together, we can come up with some really elegant solutions to all of this. So thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome. Could you indulge me? I have a few more comments, if I could.
Yes, of course.
Okay. I want to thank Chief White-Hammond for efforts in fixing the commissioner appointment system, which has been broken for a long time. I think there are commissioner shortages across the board on all the commissions. 4-Point Channel, even after today, we're still short. Quorum is a touch and go situation with every meeting. The South End is in even worse shape. Only 3 commissioners sitting on the South End Commission. This past year, one of the commissioners can't afford to be sick or have an event they need to go to, or else they let down the whole community. The meeting has to be canceled. I do want to thank Joe. Staff at Landmarks has done heroic work trying to fill slots on commissions, but there's still plenty to be done. I also want to share some concerns that I'd like city councilors to know about, and these are concerns from the Boston Landmarks Commission. Again, where I've chaired for 12 years and been a member for 13. And I'm speaking for all of the commissioners. We've observed over the last year an unprecedented disregard by the administration for our legislative mandates, our procedures, and our guidelines. This interference has hampered our ability to fulfill the role that we've been legislatively enabled to do. I can offer just a few examples very quickly. Franklin Park. Franklin Park is a Boston landmark. White Stadium is part of Franklin Park. The commission was told that it didn't have purview over review of the whole project, only part of the project. We were advised as to what we could and could not include in the study report for City Hall, which is a pending landmark, and hopefully to be a landmarked building very soon. The Buckminster Hotel was pulled from the agenda at the 11th hour, the day before we were to vote to designate the Buckminster Hotel a Boston landmark. That was, our understanding was that was pulled to placate the owner. So the commissioners have drafted a letter to the mayor outlining in much greater detail our concerns. All of City Council will be copied on this letter, and I just wanted to mention it today so that you can look for that letter and hopefully offer your support, and we definitely look forward to working with Mayor Wu to address some of these concerns.
Thank you, Lynn. And, I was across the board on some of the things that you said. I had differences of opinion, but I agreed with you on so much. And I just want to add that, about the commissions, part of the reason why we're having this marathon hearing is because of the shortages of some of these commissions. And as the Planning, Development, and Transportation Chair, I see that as a real need to make sure that all of our commissions are are not in that space that you're talking about where someone's sick and then there can't be a meeting. I think that that is one of my goals. And so I think if anyone asks why I had this many dockets on one hearing, that is the reason, because I've been hearing that from the neighborhoods that I represent. And just want to add, would love to read your letter. I think it's really important to, listen to folks who have experience and with this. And, I think I have really tried to hone in the conversation around the planning department around what will happen to the Landmarks Commission. So just adding that I really hear your concerns and I'm happy to have a conversation offline. I think for me, I think what we do in terms of historic preservation could not be more important to the city's future. And as much as we can now have back and forth, as you're also a constituent of mine, I think, or might be on the other side. You're in Back Bay?
Yeah, Huntington Avenue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're my constituent.
Good.
So, but
Yes,
yeah,
I think so
I
too.
look forward to talking, and I'm grateful for your leadership, and thank you for all the time that you've spent. And I think, even with, we all aspire to be perfect, and sometimes there are processes and things that are imperfect. And I think in government, we're just striving to be better. And I think if I can play a role in that, that's what I'm interested in doing.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your understanding and support, and we can work together to make things better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you for being here. Could you talk a little more about the comments you made about the Franklin Park review that your team would do in terms of what you highlighted at the...
Well, what we would typically do, and there are many pieces to that project, as you probably know, and I also understand that it's not moving forward very quickly at the moment. It's complicated. But the Landmarks Commission would review, it would all go through a design review process and review every aspect of reconstruction, change, alteration, new stadium, any affiliated buildings, anything that takes place in Franklin Park, in and around White Stadium, including White Stadium.
Is that review going to take place?
It was initiated, but then halted because I think of a pending lawsuit involving the project. But it was announced to us that we only had purview over a piece of it, rather than the whole project.
Why would they want to just have a small portion of it and not the entire area?
Well, we were led to believe that that there was some concern that Landmarks review would slow the process, would be an obstacle to completion of the project.
Oh, to speed it up, basically?
That we would create an obstacle, or our design review process, our involvement might slow the project, slow the momentum of the project.
Okay, respectfully, I just want to keep our comments here germane to the actual. So I
understand. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just, Madam Chair, I'm just asking a question. I wanted to follow up and learn more about her statement. I thought it was informative, and I wanted to follow up. And I
absolutely understand.
No, I know. But you want to move on to another subject, though, Madam Chair, and I wanted to kind of continue and learn more about what the comment was, and you seem like you want to move away from that.
I just have we have a lot of dockets to go over today, so I just want to make sure I'm giving everyone equal time, because I want to be respectful to the other folks that are waiting.
No, I
to
understand, but
testify.
I want to do my due diligence also and ask the right questions. I'm not here to, I'm here to learn from people. I'm here to learn about the issues from these professionals.
But do you think it is germane to her appointment? Do you think the question is germane?
I think
to
it's
her
an important. I think it's an important. It's an important subject. I'm not going to vote against her or or for her based on that. I'm voting for her because she's well qualified and she's a professional.
Yeah, and I think that's all I'm saying is, like, let's just keep it, I feel like I'm trying to be as generous as possible because I want to be able to flesh out as much as we can, but we do have a lot of folks waiting, so I just want to make sure that I do my best to get through all the dockets that I put on the agenda today.
No, but Madam Chair, I don't want to come here and be a rubber stamp. I want to come here and ask important questions, and people watching this on television, they also deserve the opportunity to learn about what some of these professionals are doing. I don't want to be a part of a discussion where I'm just a rubber stamp and just sitting here and doing nothing. And just agreeing with everybody. If I find a statement that's interesting, I might challenge the person to provide a little bit more background and information. It's helpful to me. It makes me a better city councilor.
I hear you, and I think I've definitely allowed for that. So we're going to move on to the next docket. Thank you so much, Lynn. I really appreciate it.
But Madam Chair, you're not giving me an opportunity to ask relevant questions. A lot of these boards are in my district: Fort Point, Back Bay, Bay Village. I want to make sure I'm prepared when I'm doing my job and doing my due diligence so I'm able to effectively represent my constituents. That's what I do. I come here every day and try to learn as much as I can about my district. And I learn from my district listening to people from my district that are professionals on these boards. And I'm disappointed, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to head to the next, which is Franklin Ross from the Back Bay, appointment for the Back Bay Architectural District Commission, term expiring March 18th, 2029.
Hello.
Hi, Franklin. So I want to give you 2 minutes to speak to your appointment, and then I'll open it up to my colleagues.
Good morning. I'm Franklin Ross. My family's had a multi-generational commitment to the Back Bay, and specifically Newbury Street. My grandmother, Faye Rotenberg, started the Newbury Street League, and my mother had a gallery on Newbury Street for 40 plus years. I care deeply about the neighborhood, about seeing its preservation and its continuance as one of the best places to live in the country. And that's what I have to say. And I want to thank Joe for all you do. So.
Thank you so much, Franklin. And, having had the opportunity to get to know you in the civic community and everything you offer, I'm really excited about this particular appointment, and thank you for stepping up to serve. I know that the Back Bay Architectural Commission is such an important part of preserving the historic nature of the Back Bay, and I'm grateful to your family and your legacy of leadership. And wanted to open it up to questions from my colleagues as well. Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just looking for his resume. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Franklin. Franklin, as a professional in this field, tell me your view on historic preservation, but also the critical need about building more affordable housing, especially for seniors or for persons with disabilities. But how do you factor those issues in knowing that we do have a lot of units that we need to get on the market?
I would say affordable housing is such an important issue for the city of Boston. And, I look to Joe to sort of provide feedback on how future developments or changes to any building sort of affect the historic nature. But any opportunity that we can to produce affordable housing, I think, is a wonderful thing, and we should do that if we can. So.
Thank you, Franklin, and I'm looking forward to supporting this nomination, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Flynn.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again, Franklin. Really appreciate you coming down to City Hall today, and look forward to seeing you in our neighborhood.
Thank you so much, Councilor Durkin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any folks here from being appointed to the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District Commission? Okay, I think one of these might be attending virtually. Okay, the South End Landmark
Hi,
District Commission.
Councillor Durkin. I'm here. Sorry, I'm here virtually.
Oh, okay, you can go ahead. So you have, sorry, what's your name?
I'm Selena Barrios Milner.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. So you have 2 minutes, and then I'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair Durkin, and thank you, Councillors Flynn and Braden. It's good to see you both again. I'm Selena Barrios Milner. I am been a resident of Boston for 23 years, and I've had the privilege of living in several neighborhoods in Alston, where I served on the Main Streets Board, in Jamaica Plain, where I served on the Neighborhood Council. I've also lived in Bay Village, Roslandale, and I'm a current resident of West Roxbury, where we own a home with my husband and 2 children. My expertise in joining this commission is really my background in public policy, with a focus on economic development and equity and inclusion. I worked at the City of Boston in various roles, and most recently was Chief Equity Officer until about 1.5 years ago. And currently I work at Washington, D.C. based Urban Institute, which is a public policy think tank and research institution where we focus on developing research to inform economic mobility for economic mobility policies for federal, state, and local government. So really, I come to this with a focus on the people. I started off as a community organizer and want to make sure that people have an input into their neighborhood and have access to what they need to live healthy lives and to also have a say in the fabric of their neighborhood. So really, it's a privilege to be nominated and to get to serve with such wonderful experts throughout our city.
And I just wanted to clarify, you're being appointed as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission as well as the Highland Park Architectural Conservation Commission. So just wanted to state that for my colleagues. And I thank you so much for stepping up in 2 different ways, but obviously interrelated. And thank you for caring about the historic preservation of our neighborhoods. Do my colleagues have any questions? Councillor Flynn?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And, thank you for your service as well to the city. For residents that are watching on television, and for myself as well that does not know as much as I should know about Highland Park, can you talk about that particular area and what is significant about it? Talk a little about the people and its history.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the newest conservation districts. It became a district in 22 after several decades of community interest and advocacy in creating a conservation district. So I think something that is unique is that there's been so much community involvement, both not just in setting up the district, but also how it would operate. It's an area, I think others may know it, it's in Roxbury, others may know it as Fort Hill, but it's been one of the areas where we've had, it's been an important part of the city and in the country for the Massachusetts people in the beginning. It's been home to many waves of immigrants, and different communities have helped shape it over time, and is now the heart of our Black historic Boston, and has really a great mix of community activism, of community spaces, and it's really the heart of the city throughout our history, has been the heart of the city for a lot of different communities.
Well, thank you for your answer, and appreciate the tremendous work that you are doing, and I'm also looking forward to supporting both nominations for this individual. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Braden?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your commitment to the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District. We were very excited to actually get that across the line in 2022, as you mentioned, after many decades of hard work by the community to get it recognised. For you personally, what's the one thing about the Highland Park Architectural District that you get the most excited about?
I think that we have such amazing Black history in the area, and so I think just like how we honor both the spaces in the neighborhood, but also the people that have inhabited those spaces.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks again for all your work, and I will be supporting this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Selena. Nice to meet you virtually, and hope to see you at some point in person. I think we'll move on to virtual, unless there's anyone else here in person. Oh, sorry. Come up, please. Thank you. Are you for the South End? South End, yes. Oh, perfect. Okay.
John Freeman.
Are you Christopher DeBoard?
I hope so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. So I'll give you 2 minutes, and then I'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be joining this commission. It seems like it's been a long time coming. I applied about 6 years ago and again about a year ago, so I'm glad the fruition is going to happen today. I've lived in the South End for 32 years. I'm probably the only South End District Commissioner that's from Idaho. I grew up in Idaho. I moved to Detroit, and then I moved here.
And I'm the first city councilor from the South, so, you know, we're all making history.
And so I've been here for 32 years. I think there are 3 things that have really made me fall in love with the South End. When I first rented a house or an apartment, I fell in love with the grandeur of these buildings, and I fell in love with the grandeur of the people that inhabit them and the neighborhood. There's 3 things that have brought me right down to the very earth of the South End. First of all, I have lived in my house now for, I'm not this old, but for 28 years. And I know every bit about it inside and out, the units above me, how the place goes together. The second thing is I have a dog. I've had 5 dogs since I've been in this house, and so I know every alley, every street, every park, every back of building, everything about the South End that brings it together, that gives its fabric. I know the people on the different blocks, how long they've been there, the new ones. Not quite the mayor of the South End, but I sure do know a lot of people. The third thing is that I'm a carpenter and a contractor. I was in high tech for about 18 years and switched over in 2001 because my grandfather had a business out in Idaho, and I said, I want to do this, and it was right. And I've been doing that for 24 years now. And where I do my work is only in the South End. I ventured out a little bit, but I haven't done anything out of the South End in about 20 years. And so I've seen these houses change hands. I've seen them change how they house people. And I've been very much a part in keeping the fabric together. I've done 9 facade restorations in one block of West Newton between Columbus and Tremont, 4 of them contiguous. So I brought them back to what they looked like when they were first built, within reason. And I'm very proud of that. And I have been one sledgehammer in front of demolition crews that have been what I call siloing these houses, taking everything out down to the bricks. So when you're standing at the ground level, it looks like a silo. I've saved numerous marble fireplaces. I've pulled up the southern yellow pine and reused it in my projects. I've taken joists out of dumpsters. I've pulled chandeliers out of dumpsters. I don't want to show you my basement because I save things. And I reuse them. I think it's important. You know, if you pull a joist out of a building that was built in 1850 and count the rings on it, it could be 300 years old. That means 300 plus whenever that building was built means that tree was planted in 1650 or started growing then. So when we throw this stuff away, it's horrible for the environment because they don't make old growth trees anymore. We can't cut them. So it pains me when I see developers changing, and I have nothing against developers, but changing how these houses are used. They throw away this lumber that could be used as wood, it could be used as mantelpieces, you could use it as structural wood still. It's very good stuff. So like I said, I've been down in the dirt on these places. I know how they work. I've reused materials for the same jobs. I think it's so terribly important to maintain that within a reasonableness of what what we have to say is historical and for usage. One of the things that has made these South End homes specifically viable for so many years is what I call the staircase. That staircase used to serve 6 floors. And when people didn't live on 6 floors anymore, they changed them into 6 single families or a duplex and a triplex and a single. It just depended. And that stairway stayed the same. So when the stairways get changed to an elevator and you have a garage put in underneath, it's all up to the owner that's what they want to do, but it changes how the building can be used going forward. Because you no longer have that stairway anymore that allows you to switch it up, if you will. So I have a lot vested in the South End. I love it. I love the fabric. I love the people. And of course there's going to be change. And I just want to make sure that change is right for the people still there and the people coming in. You have to appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Christopher, and I can just hear the passion in your voice. It's like we chose the right person for this job. So thank you so much to the administration for choosing this wonderful person who cares a lot about preservation. And, there are actually some bad actors in my district who, choose to buy a lot of very historic buildings. And I've seen this stuff. I actually went on a ride along with code enforcement and saw some of the stop work orders that have been placed on historic homes, and it's really and got to be part of writing another ticket, for some of these. So, but unfortunately, we don't have enough tools to really enforce what are happening and in our cities at some of these historic locations, and it really saddens me. But but what does give me a lot of it makes me feel a lot better to know folks like you will be at the helm stewarding some of these making sure that some of these historic buildings stay historic. And though I don't represent the South End, I love it. I think that I think preserving that historic fabric helps preserve the historic fabric of Beacon Hill and Back Bay and Mission Hill and the areas that are historic and parts of the West End as well. So thank you so much for your leadership, and thank you for choosing to do this. Any comments from my colleagues, Councillor Flynn, Councillor Braden?
No, I just go ahead, Councillor Flynn.
No, after you, Councillor Braden.
Thank you. I share your passion for old wood. They just don't grow wood like that anymore, and I think trying to get that balance between modernizing buildings and making them more usable in this modern time, but also thinking as well about urban development and how, when these houses were built, all the residents in the building didn't have cars. So we're sort of trying to go back to that space where if we had a really highly functional public transit system, we would leave that car, so we wouldn't even have that car. So I think, to your point about putting garages under brownstones and whatever, it's
in a flood zone.
In a flood zone, and when we're trying to conserve our groundwater as well, there's a whole lot of issues at work here. So thank you for your passion. I really hear you. We have a basement with a lot of stuff in it as well. So and thank you for your work. I really appreciate it.
And Councilor Braden, thank you for mentioning the groundwater. Councilor Flynn, when he was council president, had the opportunity to put me on the board of the Boston Groundwater Trust. He was the former trustee, and obviously I'm proud to represent the South End in that way, making sure, being on the state of the groundwater and figuring out sort of how we protect these historic homes. So, sorry, go ahead, Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Christopher, for your passion, for your leadership and your commitment to the South End. I'm proud to represent the South End and love the neighborhood. And I'm your city councilor, so honored to have you here. I think right across the street from you, or maybe down the street a little bit, we're trying to build the Crite Park, as you probably know. Rohan Crite, who is a resident of the South End in Roxbury, African-American artist, and I'm working with the Friends group to try to provide and build this wonderful, hopefully a wonderful park that honors Rohan Crite, but also it's an example too to young people in the South End in Roxbury about the importance of having role models in the artist community or in the music community. And certainly Rohan Crite is a hero to many, including myself. I have one question, maybe somewhat related, but I understand that you speak Spanish fluently, and South End has a large Spanish-speaking population, as you know. So I'm just curious, with all of your knowledge and experience, how are we teaching young men and young women about historic preservation, especially residents, maybe they're living in Villa Victoria, maybe they're living in Cathedral or Castle Square up the way, a large Asian, but also a large Spanish-speaking community. Just wanted to see what your thoughts are about educating the next group of South End residents as well.
Ooh, lots of thoughts. First of all, I think a lot of people that might move into the South End and might take a whole building as their own, but it's maybe one of their own houses, one of their many houses, don't realize the value of the residents of these housing areas, or even residents that can live in the neighborhood and do things that they want. Like, I don't mean menial tax, but be a waiter, work at one of the pharmacies or something like that. Work in the neighborhood where we need people to be there. I mean, it's not a neighborhood for just rich people, because you don't have a community if you don't have everything. I would love to take on somebody that I could teach my passion to. Some of it's kind of ridiculous because it is very passionate about what I do, but I think it's a noble trade to be in construction and to know how these houses are put together. And I wish I could do more to educate people and bring them on. I mean, then you have to deal with insurance, and you have to deal with trust, and you have to deal with all of these things, which I'm pretty trustworthy of a lot of people, naively sometimes. But I wish there was a better vehicle to bring people to work, to teach, so I could teach them and show them, because I love doing that. I always tell people that have worked for me, I'm like, my teaching you this for an hour or talking doesn't make me any less rich or anything like that, because it's time I'm spending with you to make you better. And I think that's important. I just wish but it's a little bit onerous to with insurance and everything that happens. But I wish, and there are organizations out there that are trying to bring more people into the trades. I think it's important.
Well, thank you, Chris, for the important work you are doing. I think even being here and speaking about the love you have for the South End really is an example for others that might be watching on television. Maybe it develops a little bit of spark in someone watching on television, and they may learn from you and from your life experience about how important it is to ensure that historic preservation is respected, and the important work of quality craftsmanship as it relates to carpentry as well. So I just want to say thank you, Chris, for the leadership you're providing in the city.
Thank you. You're welcome to have a tour anytime. I'll give you a do and don'ts of what's been happening in the South End anytime.
I'll take you up on that.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you. You are relieved. Okay, so we're going to head to virtual. And so I think, Terry North, are you on?
I am.
Hi, Terry. Terry North is an appointment to the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission. So Terry, you have 2 minutes, and it's good to see you. So you have 2 minutes, and then I'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Hello, everyone, and I'm honored to be here this morning. I've grown up in Kenmore Square. Basically, I'll be here 51 years, the beginning of April, and a resident of the Braymore condominium. I'm president of the board there. I'm also president of the Kenmore Residents Group. I've been honored to be a commissioner for several years now, and I've enjoyed working with my colleagues. Pam Beal and I work very closely together with respect to all neighborhood issues. And it's my honor and intention to continue to serve. I'm vitally concerned about preserving the historic integrity of our neighborhood and hope to continue to do so. I'd like to echo Pam Beal's appreciation for the work that Joe does. He's been really terrific and instrumental in making this always a very smooth transition throughout all the issues that we deal with.
Thank you so much, Terry, and really appreciate your leadership. The longest resident of the Braymore, so it makes a lot of sense that you would be reappointed. But I want to thank you for all of your leadership on this commission, and I'm really proud to support your reappointment, and want to open it up to my colleagues. Obviously, could you explain a little more what where exactly the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission is for my colleagues?
It's four blocks of Charles Gate West to the Square and Bay State Road are the historic areas of this neighborhood.
Thank you. And obviously there's been, in some ways a lot done, but in some ways not a lot done in that area because it's mostly owned by BU. But look forward to the conversations that happen there, and really grateful for your leadership. Any comments from my colleagues, Councillor Flynn or Councillor Braden?
I don't have any, but thank you. Thank you, Terry, for your commitment, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, I also want to echo what Council Braden said. Thank you for your service. I do have one question. Can you talk briefly about the important work that you're doing and how you balance that with working with a college or university, and are there any specific challenges facing your work, because it's many colleges, many university, many students in that particular neighborhood?
Well, obviously we work very closely with Boston University and have for many years. We're grateful for the university because they're vitally concerned and an integral part of whatever happens here. We try to be very objective in terms of what's going to be best for the neighborhood, not just, rubber stamping everything the university wants. But we have also been very fortunate that they have worked with the neighborhood. They're always open to our concerns, and it's been a very positive working relationship. We're also vitally concerned and aware of the student population in our area. In my building in particular, we have a lot of BU students. So we try to be open-minded. As I said, Pam and I work together. I always find that Pam comes up with some interesting angles on any subject, and it keeps it interesting and challenging. But I think so far we've had a very good communication with the university, and appreciate their willingness to listen to the neighborhood and accommodate our concerns.
Well, thank you for working with the university, developing neighborhood partnerships with the university, with the city. It's about working together, and also looking forward to supporting this nomination as well, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Terry, for your time. You are relieved, but just want to thank you for your work and all you do, from the BU task force to this commission, to so much more. And I think it's so important, being someone who hadn't spent a lot of time outside of like the restaurants in Kenmore Square before I joined, meeting you early in my campaign and getting to know your experience with Kenmore was something that really grounded me in the community. So I really appreciate all the time and all, the baton that you pass forward to everyone that you meet. I really appreciate it. So thank you, Terry.
Well, I'd also like to add that we appreciate your work, Counselor. It's been wonderful to have you on board, and we're looking forward to many years working with you as well.
Thank you so much, Terry. Okay, so we're going to move to more virtual, more folks that are virtual, because I don't see anyone else that needs to do this in person. So we're going to go to the Felicia Jacks from the South End. Is she on?
Yes.
Hi, Felicia. So nice to meet you. So you'll have 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My name is Felicia Jacques, and I'm a former resident of the South End, and I now live in the Fort Hill area of the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District. I want to thank the mayor and the city council for my recent reappointment to the Boston Landmarks Commission, for which I've been part of for over a decade, and to thank you for the opportunity to enter into this role as a member of the South End Landmarks District Commission. I look forward to being a part of the South End Historic District Commission as it pursues its responsibility to preserve, enhance, and advance this very important work while striving to strike the appropriate balance as the city continues to evolve and move forward. My sort of love of historic preservation stems. I'm trained as an architect and actually work in affordable housing, real estate development, and so actually see quite a lot of opportunity in each of the neighborhoods to take a look at some of these structures to see how they might be utilized in the future and carry on a new life. My deep belief is that buildings are living things, and it is not necessarily our role to preserve an amber, but to allow for there to be an evolution of the use and the physical presence within the community. And if that is adaptive reuse, historic preservation, and the like, that is something that I'm very interested in continuing to be a part of. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Felicia. I'll pass it off to my colleague, Councillor Flynn, who represents the South End.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and listened to Felicia and read her resume, and I know she'd be a tremendous asset and leader, so just want to say thank you for being there for the residents of Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Braden?
Thank you. 10 years of service. Thank you so much. I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you for your continued commitment to historic preservation in our city and all your great work. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Really appreciate your work, and I think it means a lot when someone's passed over a decade, and I'm sure there's much more that you've done even before then, but over a decade of leadership, I think that is incredible, and it's so important that we thank our civic leaders and all of the ways that they interact with our communities. And the folks I've seen, at least from my district, who have been on today, they touch every single angle of and I know that you probably do that too, so thank you so much. And I'll relieve you now to get back to your day, but I really appreciate your leadership, and thank you again for hopping on.
Thank you, Chair Durkin and Councillors Breeden and Flynn.
Okay, thank you.
So now we're gonna go to Senem, who is an appointment to the Bay Village Conservation Architectural Commission.
Good morning.
Hi, so Senem, you'll get 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Fantastic. Good morning, all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you, albeit virtually. My name is Senem Kumahia. I'm a first-generation American. Both my parents are from Ghana, West Africa. I've lived in Boston my entire life. I currently live in Dorchester in the Ashmont neighborhood with my wife and 2 kids. Professionally, I am in real estate development. I've been in real estate development for well over a decade, focused on mixed-use projects from hotels to condominiums, but also have been more recently involved in affordable housing in responding to some of the RFPs and needs that the Mayor's Office of Housing has put out. So I've got a good balance between large-scale projects and then smaller housing projects. And I'm excited about this opportunity in the Bay Village because it's a small neighborhood that despite its size, I think it has a lot of importance, in Boston. And I think it's important to make sure that we're balancing any growth or any development against the historic nature of the neighborhood. So I'd like to bring my background and my interest in real estate development and preservation to the council, to the Landmarks Commission, and look forward to being as helpful as I can be in any way, in any capacity.
Thanks, and I'll just add, he's also been appointed to the Boston Landmarks Commission, so it's both the Bay Village Historic District Commission and the Boston Landmarks Commission. So thank you so much, Senem, for stepping up and being willing to serve. I think we've had a lot of conversations about how, our commissions don't always include people of color, don't always include people of different backgrounds of like growing up in Boston versus not. And to know your background, and obviously I've gotten to know you a lot through just seeing your leadership throughout the city, but it's incredible to also know that you're adding a depth of perspective to our conversations about historic preservation. And I think sometimes it takes fresh eyes too to look at our city. And I know have been here just almost 10 years, and I know that sometimes I look at things a little bit differently because of that experience of not having grown up here. But I also know that the communication that we have with that interplay between folks who have been here a really long time and folks that have that experience that you have of the immigrant experience. It's just incredible to know that not only are you a leader in your community, but also are providing some depth of experience. So thank you so much, Senem, for stepping up to serve. And I really appreciate the mayor for thinking of you, because I think you're a great addition to this, to these
Thank
commissions.
you so much.
So I'll go on to Councillor Flynn and then Councillor Braden.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just have one quick question, and again, I'm proud to represent the Bay Village area. What do you think the #1 challenge is or concern is in the Bay Village as it relates to historic preservation?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues is understanding, how do you preserve what the look and the feel of the neighborhood is as you think about how you expand particular properties. As we all know, throughout the city, there's a need for more housing. There are people who desire to change their homes and make more housing stock. But you've got to find a way to have that balance to make sure that you're preserving what the look and feel, the character of the neighborhood is, and just making sure that that doesn't go by the wayside as you're continually evolving and expanding and trying to create more spaces in the neighborhood.
The homes there are beautiful, beautiful brick buildings.
Indeed. Indeed.
Do you ever envision, and I hope this is not the case, but do you ever envision a time when a neighborhood like the Bay Village or another neighborhood gets away from that historic preservation feel to it and moves forward with additions to many of these homes, but doing so taking away the historic significance of the neighborhood. Do you ever see a time coming when that could potentially take place?
Not in the near future, I do not.
As long as we have you on the board, that's not going to happen.
Can't say that I will be doing that, exactly.
I'm looking forward to supporting this exceptional leader in the city, and I know he has an exceptional background experience, and looking forward to supporting it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think the only better person for this would be your wife, but, you know, just kidding. Go ahead, Councillor Braden.
No, I don't have any further questions, but I do thank you for your willingness to participate, and thank you for your service in this. I always think I'm out in Alston, Brighton, so some of these districts, I used to do home care in the South End, so I'm very familiar with that space, and I used to do home care in Southie and Dorchester, so there's different parts of the city I'm more familiar with, and I really have to have a historic guided tour of the Bay Village one of these days. So
let's do it together.
Yes. So thank you so much for your work, and I will be supporting your appointment. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanam. You are relieved. Thank you for being here.
You got it. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Okay, so we are going to move on to John Freeman, who is being appointed to the South End Landmark District Commission.
Yes, hi. I'm John Freeman. Thank you so much for my reappointment. I appreciate it very much. I've been a Boston Landmark Commissioner for over 22 years, I think, and I've also been a South End Landmark Commissioner for that period of time. I'm an architect. Much of my practice is in preservation and what we call adaptive reuse. I live in Roslindale, and I also serve on the Roslindale Village Main Street Board. I am really, have to say, I'm really gratified to see and meet all the new commissioners this morning. It was wonderful to meet Christopher, or at least only virtually, but I look forward to serving with him. I've known Felicia on BLC for over 10 years, and I was also one of the commissioners assigned to write the Highland Park, or help write, assist in writing the Highland Park standards and criteria. So I'm really happy to see Selena joining that, and I think this makes me feel very optimistic and that things are moving forward in a good way.
Thank you so much, John. And I think part of our goal here in this marathon hearing is to make sure that all of our commissions, you know, from the Landmarks Commission to these individual historic commissions, like, have the quorum that they need to be successful and have the voices that they need to be successful. So thank you for acknowledging that, and thank you for all of your work over the past 22 years. I'm sure your civic life spans back even further, because to even be thought of for these commissions, you have to already have a dearth of experience and knowledge and work. So thank you for your leadership. I really appreciate it, and thank you for bringing your professional expertise as well to the table, as well as your civic expertise. I'm going to pass it off to Councillor Flynn and then Councillor Braden for any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, John, for your commitment to the residents of Boston for so many years. John, in this work of historic preservation, how important is it to educate the younger generation in Boston about this subject, and what's being done to ensure that younger people in Boston know about historic preservation and what impact it has on a neighborhood, the history of a neighborhood and its people?
Well, to answer your first question, how important it is, I've rarely described myself as a preservationist. I call myself a conservationist. And I think that the historic buildings, historic landscapes, historic properties that we are very lucky to have in Boston are an amazing resource and are both an economic resource and not just in the way of tourism, but in energy conservation because an existing building is already built, but also in one that establishes, as so many other people this morning have said, establishes a look and feel that is deeper and broader than the current time, than a new building. And conserving that is what I feel is really important and is a civic duty of all of us. Doing it in a balanced way. You didn't mention affordable housing, but we've worked in affordable housing, and I think the two things are actually very compatible if they are considered together. It's very important. I don't actually know what is being done much to work with the youth. I know there are outreach programs to the schools. I have not myself participated in those. So I'm afraid I can't answer your second question very well.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, looking forward to supporting John and want to see John continue the important work he's doing in the city.
Thank you so much, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Braden?
Thank you. I'm just looking at your resume and all the great projects that you've been involved with, John, over many years. Thank you so much for all of that. We're looking at a new, introducing the opportunity to do accessory dwelling units, and I'm thinking about, I see you've done a project here on old barns and become new houses. I'm thinking, we have lots of old, as parts of our neighbourhoods, we have carriage houses and spaces that, with a little thoughtful restoration or whatever, could be made into living spaces while still preserving the fabric. Have you any thoughts on that particular issue?
Oh, I think that's a very important issue. Yeah, that was a book. One of our projects was featured on the cover of that. I think that there are so many properties that, as they exist, could be multifamily dwellings. And I think the ADU approach has a lot of potential in it. There's a couple of commissioners, including Sue Goganian, who I don't know if you've seen her yet, who has a particular interest in the carriage houses because they have a history of not only holding carriages and horses, but also people would live in them on the second floor. Very often someone who was employed on the property, and they make wonderful dwellings. They really do. We've seen a couple converted. We have, my office has worked on one or two over the years, and I think it's a huge potential. And there's so many of them that we barely know about because they're buried and hidden behind the front buildings.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's an area where we need to do a little historic preservation while also creating new housing. That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for your service, John.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
And I'll just say my staffer just corrected me and said I said dearth of knowledge instead of depth of knowledge. So just so you know, you have a depth of knowledge, not a dearth of knowledge. So I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, John. So you are relieved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next virtual. Sorry, I lost my. Who else is online? Oh, thank you. Okay, Tom Rode from Fort Point.
I'm here.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'll give you 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions from my colleagues.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, councilors, for your time today.
Is it possible to turn up the volume?
I will try. I think someone was pointing out I needed to use my outside voice.
Okay,
today.
yes, I can hear you now.
Is that a little better?
Yes.
Hopefully not deafening in the meantime. But in any case, thank you, councilors and Madam Chair, for your time today. Boy, a big shout out, I have to say, in the district. I've been worked and lived in the district since 2007 on the Landmarks Commission since 2016. So not quite as much tenure as a lot of other candidates, but very excited and very enthusiastic about continuing the work that we do. But in the meantime, I want to say a big shout out to the residents around us in the district who, for better or worse, bring some incredibly important perspectives and ideas to the commission when we're in the give and take with developers who want to change a facade or to put up some signage or what have you. These folks are very devoted and make our job really much easier in the sense of providing more kind of raw material for us to think about. What are the most important kind of preservation aspects, aesthetic kind of concerns, pedestrian sort of perception issues that we're dealing with in our commission hearings. So big shout out to them, and also quite honestly to the developers, to our counterparts who are initiating some of these projects where they have shown really in most cases it's not all sweetness and light going in the back and forth all the time, but showing some laudable flexibility and kind of compassion, if you will, in the sense of hearing what it is that the residents are concerned about and adjusting their projects accordingly. So, working with great groups on both sides of the fence, if you will, has been very rewarding and really quite productive. I believe from both perspectives. Also, big shout out to Joe again and his staff, our current administration representative Rachel, and to my fellow commissioners, David Barduzzi, the chairperson, and Lynn and Sue. And to Lynn's point earlier, we're kind of one of us gets sick or two of us get sick and we don't have quorum. So, a second to the hard work the mayor's office is doing and you folks are doing to get these appointments put through. Because we could use the help. Anyway, thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom. I would like to open it up to my colleague, Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions. Just want to say thank you, Tom, for his willingness to continue serving the residents of Boston.
My pleasure, Councillor Flynn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Braden?
I have no questions, but I wanted to say thank you, Tom, for your service, your continued service, and your willingness to keep going.
Again, a pleasure. Yes, I really would love to, and look forward to it.
Thank you so much for being here. So I'll let you be relieved, and have a great day.
Same to you guys. Take care.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next virtual. Catherine Sikora Nelson, which is Bay Village.
Yes, good morning. Will be pretty soon good afternoon.
Thank you so much. So I'll give you 2 minutes and then I'll pass it off to my colleagues with any questions.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I really appreciate it. It is an honor and privilege to be appointed as a new member of the Boston Bay Village Historical Commission. I came to Boston in 1991 to graduate school, and like many those who come to study, we never leave. I spent the last many years in financial services as a practicing attorney in New York, but Boston and Bay Village has been always home. I have been a resident of Bay Village since 2004, which will exactly mark this month my 20th year. A fabulous, I would say, anniversary to celebrate by even getting more engaged and involved. law, architecture, and music runs in my family as professions, but I'm just an attorney as much as my background by origin is from Poland, from Krakow, which is a very historical town of over 1,000 years old. And growing up as a child, I always had this appreciation for preservation and balance and teaching younger generations respect for what we inherited and making sure we pass the baton. And I would say I found my second calling by being able to live in Bay Village. I'm very privileged to live on Isabella Street that was already mentioned earlier through other commissioners. And I believe we have great example on Isabella of two developments where preserving the historical look and feel, we equally allow for development of modern housing. What's also very important to me is that we do not overbuild, that we keep an eye and preserve even the smallest amount of green pasture, smallest parks, and I believe Bay Village, with everybody's help, all the residents and the City Hall is able to do so quite well and serve as an incredible example. I also want to say especially Councilman Flynn for all his support during pandemic. It was so visible and needed, and look very much in serving in my new role and continue living and supporting Bay Village. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I want to open it up to my colleagues. First, Councillor Flynn, who represents Bay Village.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Catherine, for your willingness to continue providing leadership in the city, joining residents to ensure Bay Village remains a wonderful and engaging community. Catherine, certainly I support the historic preservation programs in Bay Village, but is there any downside to not having any construction or upgrades in the Bay Village? Does it impact negatively in terms of any quality of life issues? And if it does, is there a way we can make changes without destroying or impacting the structures of the building?
Thank you for the question. And I believe you are bringing the core of what it means conservation and preservation versus quality of life, and for the residents to remain in the heart of the city and to truly enjoy it as a safe environment, not just from a safety police perspective, but safety as the streets, the sidewalks, the environment around us. Bay Village is such a rich, not only by its own doing and by its own location, but by all the surrounding neighborhoods, from Back Bay on one side and South End on another, not to mention Chinatown. And I believe we are all one integrated fabric within the confines of the city. And I would answer your question in that sort of more holistic perspective, specifically when it comes to how we can improve the life as we consider new developments or construction. I was lucky enough to move to Isabella Street, to a brownstone that was one of probably first back in 2003, developed inside while keeping the nature and I would say bringing modernity, allowing for proper, I would say, quality of life for those who were looking to stay in the city, while equally when you are standing on the street, you feel a beautifully restored building that is not only a pleasure for the eye, but equally, I believe, maintains the integral, the strategic, I would say, component of, I would say, many facets of Bay Village, because we have your 19th century core developments, we have the Art Deco architecture. We are a mixed architectural, as much as we are so small and something to show off. And as any new project that will come along, I would say we need to check and make sure that it becomes very forward-looking, so we conserve water, so we conserve I would say, all the elements that sustainable housing can provide, that we use the 21st century technology and tools we are given by maintaining that balance. And I believe it's a case-by-case study from one project to another. Because again, going back to Isabella, just very short, and I'm concluding, you had restoration of the former rectory house without changing anything outside. You have beautiful, granted, very luxurious condominiums inside. You have then the former church converted, where you will maintain the structure from the facade, but you will truly build new 21st century apartments, including a portion appointed for affordable housing, which I believe is the move in the right direction to create diversity and balance in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And my final 2 points, it's not a question. I just want to say thank you to the Bay Village neighborhood, engaging, compassionate community. But one other aspect I would like to highlight about the Bay Village, and again, I'm proud to represent this neighborhood, is the wonderful relationship Bay Village has with the Chinatown community, a less fortunate neighborhood, but the Bay Village continues to be there for the residents of Chinatown, especially during difficult and challenging times. So honored to see that type of friendship, neighborhood, neighbors helping neighbors from the Bay Village helping the residents of Chinatown. So just want to say thank you to the Bay Village Neighborhood Association. Thank you, Catherine and Madam Chair. I do apologize. I have to excuse myself. I have a 12 o'clock meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Flynn. Councillor Braden?
Thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your leadership, and thank you for stepping forward to do this. And you are relieved, and look forward to supporting your appointment at Wednesday's council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I believe Sue is also on. Goganian?
Good morning, afternoon. I am here.
Hi, Sue. Thank you so much. So you are an appointee for the Boston Landmarks Commission as well as the Bay Village. Is that correct?
No,
Oh, sorry,
4-Point Channel.
So sorry. These are all in. Thank you. So you're 4-Point Channel and Boston Landmarks Commission. So you'll have 2 minutes, and then Councillor Braden and I are left. So if we have any questions after you go, we'll ask you questions. Thank you.
Sure. So I'm Sue Goganian. I live on Romsey Street in Dorchester. I've been a member of the Landmarks Commission probably for 10 years and the 4-Point Channel District Commission for slightly less than that. The commissioners can do what we do because of the staff, which is severely under-resourced. So I want to just thank them. I also want to note that I try to be an involved citizen. This is one of the ways that I do that, and I encourage others to get involved as well. One of the reasons that Boston's residents and visitors love this city is because of its historic character. And that's not just about the famous sites like the old State House, where I used to work, and Faneuil Hall. My Irish and Armenian ancestors came here in the 19th and 20th century, and so I'm really passionate about Boston's immigrant history and the contributions of new residents, because that's history too. Our history is evident in every neighborhood in the city, and I see the Commission's role as helping to balance preserving historic character with new construction and new opportunities. John mentioned the carriage houses. That's definitely one of the overlooked opportunities in some of our neighborhoods. It's also increasingly important to consider the environmental impact of demolition and rebuilding, and the need to protect the entire city from the impact of climate change through innovative means to protect the built environment, including our historic structures. Councillor Flynn's earlier question about how we know which neighborhood buildings are historic, staff and commissioners can share that information, and we also need public input. We need to give the Landmarks Commission staff the resources to be proactive rather than just respond to emergencies, to engage with the residents of all ages about preservation and local history, and to work with people in the neighborhoods to protect and care for the resources they care about, and not just respond to the urgent matters. I want to end by supporting Commissioner Smilage's comments, and I want to tell a personal story about why these vacancies matter on an individual level. The 4 Point Channel District Commission has had a less than full complement of commissioners for more than 12 years. And the reason that I know that is because of those shortages. I came to a commission meeting the day after my father's funeral. I didn't obviously want to do that, but I did it because I didn't want to let down everybody else. So this is a really passionate request to help fix this process so that we can get our commissions fully staffed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry that you had to do that, and it just shows the deep dedication that some of our leaders, including yourself, have for, and respect they have for these commissions and the role that they play in our community. So I'm so sorry you had to do that, but thank you.
No, it's fine.
But thank you for always stepping forward. You know, I actually was part of our staff, retreat. The woman who taught, our council retreat that we did. And there was this woman who she revealed, halfway through the retreat that she was there the day after her father passed away. And so I've been with someone, really recently, in a similar situation. And it just shows there are so many people who really value and care about the work we do in government. So much so that they're willing to put their lives on hold or their grieving on hold. And the goal of this marathon hearing really was to hear from everyone and to try to get as many appointments as we could figured out, and to try to get as much participation from my colleagues as possible. So I will be recommending the folks who showed up today, we'll be recommending them at Wednesday's meeting for appointment and reappointment. And I'm grateful to you, Sue, for your leadership. Do you have anything to say, Councillor Braden?
No, just thank you so much. And I fully concur with your observation and plea that we fill all our commission positions and have a workable landmarks review process that, as you say, 12 years is a long time to have a commission that isn't fully staffed. So I think the chair and myself certainly will continue to advocate for the Landmarks Commission to be resourced fully, and because I think our historic fabric of our city is a very, very, very vital part of who we are as a city, given our place in the history of the United States, and as an immigrant city, and all of it needs to be supported. And so thank you for your service, and I really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. You are relieved. Thank you so much for being here. And before we end today, I want to make sure we get a couple of things done that are super important. Just wanted to read first. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm expecting 2 other people virtually.
You
I don't
are.
know if they're on the call or...
Oh, perfect.
not.
So maybe I'll slow us down with these 2 absence letters.
Oh,
and then, okay. So I'll read these absence letters. I do believe I was expecting Fadi Samaha to be on the Zoom, and he's not yet. So that's one that I was expecting. So before then, I'll read. So Council President Rusi Louis-Jean sent an absence letter. Dear Chair Durkin, I will be unable to attend. Dockets 0144 through 0154, 0292 through 0295, 0534 through 0542, 0567 and 0568, order for hearing to discuss various appointments. I know that the committee will conduct a comprehensive and fair review of all appointments for the positions of various neighborhood landmark district commissions and architectural conservation district commissions. These appointments made at this hearing are vital for the preservation of our city's historical and cultural landscapes, and I have full confidence in my fellow committee members' ability to carry forward with the discussions and decisions in my absence with the utmost consideration and wisdom. I look forward to reviewing the outcomes and contributing further to discussion on nominees. Should you or the administration have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to reach out to my office directly. Sincerely, Ritsu Louis-Jean, Boston City Council President. And then another from Boston City Councilor for District 5, Enrique Pepin. Dear Mr. Clerk and Council colleagues, please be advised that I am unable to attend today's Planning, Development, and Transportation Committee hearing on dockets XX. I won't read those again. My staff will watch the live stream and report back to me with notes. I will be watching the recording and will follow up with additional questions. Sincerely, Enrique Pepin. Is anyone else now on the line?
There, Rule Longfellow from the Back Bay West Bay State Road. He may be as cell phone number 781-715-3791. Is that someone present?
I could call him. Do you want me to?
In the waiting room?
You think he's there? Okay.
Anyone else on the line? Okay.
Okay, so I'll call on Rule Longfellow from the Back Bay West Bay State Road Architectural Conservation District Commission.
Hello.
There he is.
Hi, thank you so much. So you'll have to.
That's not Rule.
Sorry, who is this?
It's Fadi. I'm in the waiting room. Rule's in the waiting room as well.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure if you see him.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead. Fadi, I know that you are up for two different, both the Boston Landmarks Commission. Sorry, one second.
Highland Park.
The Boston Landmarks Commission and the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District. So you can go ahead. You'll have 2 minutes, and then my colleagues and I will follow up with any questions.
Well, thank you for having me today. I want to thank Joe. I will say, after hearing everyone talk about the lack of people on the commission, Joe was pretty cool, calm, and collected about it. I'm happy to be able to help him. I didn't know he was in dire need, but this is exciting. I grew up in Boston. I've lived in the South End for quite a while now. I went to Latin Academy. I went to UMass Boston. So whilst I live in the South End, I feel like I'm happy to be able to contribute to other parts of Boston that I don't get to frequent as often. I own a couple of restaurants. We just opened one in Jamaica Plain, and I'm getting ingrained in that neighborhood. So any help I can give the city is great, and whatever questions you have for me, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Fadi, and obviously we got to know each other a little bit in my prior roles, so thank you so much for always stepping up to lead and for your civic leadership. What would an appointment to both, obviously the Boston Landmarks Commission is one of the most sought after and important commissions in the entire city, so just curious what that means to you to be appointed to that, and what your leadership will look like on that commission.
It means the world to me because, again, I grew up here. Boston means a lot to me. I've done well in my life because Boston's been so great. So being asked to be in this role means the world because I grew up in Boston. I went to school in Boston. Everything about me is shaped through Boston. So for me to be able to give back to the community that made me is fantastic. And the type of leader I would be is just, I think in these type of roles, it's very important to understand that you have to hear the people out. And I think as people that work for the city or volunteer for this, whatever it is, hearing out the actual people that live in the neighborhoods, people that want to live in the neighborhoods. I know a lot of people can't afford the South End anymore, and a lot of things have changed in the South End, even the roads and the street in front of us. But people contributed and people gave their opinion, and that's the most important part of being part of a city team. So that's what I'll bring to the table.
Thank you so much, Fadi. Councilor Braden, any questions?
No, just want to say thank you. This is my adopted city. I care very deeply about its historic heritage and right down to the neighbourhood level. And I really thank you for your participation and your willingness to step up. And I'll be supporting this nomination.
Thank you so much. And Fadi will relieve you today, but I'm grateful for your willingness to step up, and look forward to supporting your appointments at the council meeting on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. I just want to repeat, Rule is also in the waiting room. I can see him, so I don't know
Okay.
if just so you know. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Rule. Thank you so much. We haven't had the opportunity to meet, but I'm District 8 City Councilor, so I want to thank you for your leadership. I know this is a reappointment, so I just wanted to flag that. I know it says appointment on my docket, so I'll just again, say this is a reappointment. And Rule, I just wanted to give you 2 minutes to talk about, and honestly, even talk about your experience serving on this commission, and then I'll open it up to my colleagues for questions.
Okay. Well, let me give you a little bit of my background as far as the area. I've been in the area for actually longer than Pam Beal, believe it or not, since 1965 when I first came to Boston. I am originally from Augusta, Maine, where my uncle Henry Wadsworth, I'm sure you all heard of him. He grew up in Portland, but I'm from Augusta. I came to Boston, and I've been in the Back Bay on Bay State Road in particular since 1965. And I've been on the Back Bay Architectural Commission for, I don't know the exact number of years, but I know it's 30 plus years. Okay, I don't have my records as far as that is concerned, but I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed maintaining the architectural structures of the buildings that in the way that they were built. Okay, from dealing with the telephone company and moving the wires on the poles to the sidewalk cleaning by all the owners of the property, etc. And I actually own a building on Bay State Road, and a person that I was associated with, Mr. Carlos Tosi, I don't know, some of you may remember, Mr. Tosi owned 14 buildings on the first block, and he was very instrumental in preserving these buildings, and he's kind of the one that got me involved with the commission. So I've enjoyed it, and I have to speak like everybody else, not trying to, I don't think he's up for reappointment or his job is in danger, but Joe has gone over and above the call of duty, okay? If I was still employed, I would be recruiting him to work with me, okay? That's my feeling. I want to thank you all. Any questions? I'm open.
Rule, thank you so much. I really appreciate your leadership and appreciate hearing some of your experience and really what continues to qualify you for this role, and obviously as an abutter to some of these buildings, but in addition to living in the area and being a leader. And it's really nice to meet you virtually. Look forward to meeting you in person, and also want to echo your sentiments about Joe Cornish. The idea that the thing that really united all of the appointments and the applicants today is the folks that see your leadership, and Joe, and really appreciate that leadership. So thank you for everything that you've done. It means a lot when people have worked with you for decades and are thanking you for everything, or have worked in this space for decades and are thanking you for your work. So thank you. And Rule, I'll see if Councillor Braden has anything to say.
No, I don't have any questions, Rule, but really, once again, I'm so impressed with the depth and the commitment of so many folks across the city to participate in these landmark commissions. And thank you for your service, 30 plus years. That is a very impressive record, and thank you again for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you. I do have one question.
Oh, yes, of course.
It has nothing to do with the commission. I'm not a high-tech person, and the only person I can see on the screen right now is myself. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Be well.
Thank you,
Okay.
and I really appreciate your leadership. You are relieved and look forward to supporting your reappointment on Wednesday.
Thank you.
So I just want to share, we've had great attendance at this hearing, and it just shows how seriously both the appointments and reappointments take being a leader. So there are a couple of appointments that were new appointments that have never been confirmed before. So what my plan is to recommend all of the folks that are reappointments, even if they did not appear today, and everyone who appeared today at Wednesday's council meeting. If there are any specific concerns of the administration with that tact, please let me know. But I think it meant a lot that everyone who has been serving, some for decades, appeared today. So I want to respect their time by recommending the folks who appeared, and then anyone who is a reappointment who shared why they couldn't be here. So I have one more absence letter that I'd like to read from Councilor Tanya Fernandez-Anderson. Dear Chair Durkin and council colleagues, I hope this message finds you well. I regret to inform you that I'm unable to attend today's hearing. I will review the record to remain engaged in this very important topic. Thank you in advance for understanding. Sincerely, Tanya Fernandez-Anderson, City Councilor District 7. One more. Boston City Councilor at Large Henry Santana, Dear Chair Durkin and colleagues of the Planning Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation, I regret to inform you that due to a prior commitment in the community, I am unable to attend today's hearing to discuss various appointments. I am grateful to the chair for scheduling this hearing so that the council can learn about these dedicated individuals who contribute so much to our city and discuss the proposed appointments before the council takes action. One of my staff members is present at the hearing and taking notes, and I look forward to reviewing the committee report and recommend next steps. Sincerely, Henry Santana, Boston City Councilor at Large. Okay, so we have a couple of dates to update. I did read the full dockets of that we were going over today, and there are a couple of amendments, so I'm going to read those. So on docket 0534, message in order to confirm the appointment of Sanam Kamia as a member of the Bay Village Historic District Commission for a term expiring. I need to amend that to say April 1st, 2025. The second amendment is docket 0535, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Franklin Ross as a member of the Back Bay Architectural District Commission for a term expiring. It should be December 31st, 2027. That's the second one. And then for the third one, docket 0537, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Selena Barrios Miller as a member of the Highland Park Architectural Conservation Commission for a term expiring. That should be amended to June 30th, 2025. The fourth amendment, docket 0538, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Lindsay Marie Mack Jones as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring. That should be amended to June 30th, 2025. And the fifth one, docket 0540, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Fadi Samaha as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring. That should be June 30th, 2024. And then docket 0541, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Selena Barrios Miller as a member of the Boston Landmarks Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2026. And I'll just add, these matters were all sponsored by Mayor Michelle Wu and referred to the committee on separately on January 24th, February 7th, and March 20th, 2024. I look forward to recommending those appointments that we heard today and reappointments that we heard today at Wednesday's council meeting. So should any of my colleagues have questions or they're reviewing the tape, please come to me prior to Wednesday's meeting with any questions or comments. And then I'd like to pass the floor to Reverend Mariama Whitehammond, the Chair of Environment and Open Space, for a couple of other amendments.
Sure, thank you very much. So I just want to once again thank everyone who attended and to the counselors, especially for staying through this late hour. I want to note a couple of challenges that we have discovered. I think you've raised many of the amendments that needed to be made for the final set of filings, but there were 3 sets of filings. And one of the things that we found is that in some instances, the dates were being set according to when they were filed, which is not proper procedure. They have to be set according to the term expiration dates of within the bylaws of each commission. And so a number of instances, for instance, they will say January 20th or 2027, but we can't change the terms. And so I also got a text from someone asking, we have some people who are, I'm going to name some dates that would only carry them through June of 2024, but those are people who have been holdovers, and so we actually have to affirm that they are authorized to serve as they currently have, then bring them back again for a reappointment. That is, I know it's a little bit of a bureaucratic mess, but I want to say a particular thank you to Councillor Durkin, who's been very gracious in working through. But as I mentioned, in 2021, not a single appointment, I believe, was up to date, and so we have been doing a gargantuan task of trying to bring everyone up to date and then move us forward into the future. So I'll name the dockets that we have as being out of compliance with the bylaws and the dates that they need to be. So docket 0144, Felicia Jacques' term on the South End Landmark District Commission ends on June 30th, 2026. Docket 145, Thomas Rohde's term on the Fort Point Channel Landmark District ends on June 30th, 2024. We'll be back. Docket 146, Catherine Hunt's term on the South End Landmark District Commission ends on June 30th, 2025. Docket 147, John Freeman's term on the South End Landmark District ends on June 30th, 2024. Docket 148, John Amadeo's term on the South End Landmark District ends on June 30th, 2024. Docket 149, Terry North's term on the South End Landmark District Commission.
She's Bay State Road.
Oh, okay. Terry North's term on the Bay State Road Commission ends on June 30th, 2025. Docket 150, Chris DeBoard, term on the South End Landmark District Commission ends on June 30th, 2025. And I will also email these too. Docket 151, Pamela Beal's term on the Bay State Road Back Bay West Area Architectural Conservation District Commission ends on June 30th, 2026. Docket 152, Ruel Longfellow's term on the Bay State Road, I'm going to not say the whole thing, Commission ends on June 30th, 2026. Docket 153, Lynn Smilage's term on the Fort Point District ends on June 30th, 2026. Docket 154, Jeffrey Hain has withdrawn his nomination to the Fort Port Channel Landmark District Commission because he is serving on the BLC and does not have capacity to serve in both roles. Docket 292, Craig Douglas's term on the Bay Village Historic District Commission ends on April 1st, 2026. Docket 293, Laura Shea's term on the Bay Village Commission ends on April 1st, 2025. Docket 294, Catherine Sikora Nelson's term on the Bay Village Commission ends on April 1st, 2026. Docket 295, Steve Dunwell's term on the Bay Village Historic District Commission ends on April 1st, 2026. And then for docket 0534, we have discovered there was unfortunately not a filing from what we can see to the Boston Landmarks Commission. Sinem Kumahia's term on the Boston Landmarks Commission has to be ratified in order for his term on the Bay Village Historic District Commission to be in operation. And so we are suggesting that this docket be held, that he not need to necessarily come forward again, so that we can file a docket that allows him to serve first on the BLC, so then he can be appointed from the BLC to Bay Village Historic District. And so I believe that all the rest of them that you have mentioned, because we got most of the errors in the later dockets, but I do want to mention 2 others that we have found in the midst of the hearing, which is that docket 0536, Fadi Samaha's term to the Highland Park Architectural Conservation District should be June 30th, 2025. And that John Amadeo's appointment to as a commissioner of the Boston Landmarks Commission is for a term expiring June 30th, 2024. That might, no, that's correct. Okay, great. Okay, that one is correct. I think those are the only ones that we found. So I think that...
Sorry, do you just have one question?
Yes.
Ann Kligus, who was
Yes,
obviously here, that one has not been
No,
filed?
so what we found is that there were two that we have on our list here that didn't have docket numbers. And one was Mr. Kamahia's, and the other one was Ann Kilgus. So we will make sure that both of those are filed. My request, and I thank you again, Councilor Durkin, because you've moved so many. There are some folks who weren't able to be here today, and so we had already talked with you about doing a subsequent hearing to bring some of those folks back. But I think what we will do is before that hearing to make sure that those two filings are done. And we have a few other things in the works that we'd also like to move forward at that time. This is on my list of things to attempt to get as close to complete before my exit on April 26th. But we highlighted obviously the South End and Fort Point as two places where there was an urgent need, but we also have some other nominations for Fort Point that we would like to move forward, as well as some other commissions. We would love to get everyone up to date, but we are focusing first on those commissions that are unable to operate or are operating very close to the bone because of a lack of commissioners.
Thank you so much, Reverend Mariama White-Hammond. I just wanted, for a point of process, just want to note that we are going to hold Senem Kamia's appointment, even though he appeared today, just to make sure that, but what I will do is, because he appeared today, I will definitely urge my colleagues, when it does come before the council, to suspend and pass his appointment, since he did appear before the council today. Then the other one is Ann Kilgus. I will also do the same with that docket. Great. once it has and obviously that depends on my colleagues' willingness to forego the procedure there. But given that they both appeared today, I think that makes a lot of sense.
We will make sure that we've gotten it all to you quickly so that it could be facilitated in the next council meeting. So making sure that we get
and
that.
And then the two dockets that I will recommend appointment who did not appear today were docket 0148, and that's the reappointment of John Amadeo because he is already currently serving. So, and then the other one is docket 0146, the reappointment of Catherine Hunt. So those two I will recommend for reappointment, despite them not appearing today because it is a reappointment. And then I'll just add that now that we've gone through all of these, the only person who didn't appear that is not eligible for reappointment is Craig Douglas, docket 0292, and we'll hold him for a future hearing. Okay. So, but I think we've gotten a lot done today, and I'm really honored. Thank you, Reverend, it's like, sorry, I use all your titles, but thank you, Reverend, and thank you, Joe Cornish. Really appreciate your leadership, and
I have another thing. Yes, Madam Chair. The one issue that we mentioned in the conversations this morning was the Home Rule petition that went up to the State House. It seems that it was filed by our colleague Kenzie Bach in the previous legislative session. It seems that it was an unamendable Home Rule, which doesn't always go well in the city at the State House. So I think you and I, Madam Chair, we should try and get that. We have to refile it and revote on it again in the City Council and send it up again with the amendments that the folks at the State House were suggesting, or look at those. So I think that's an important...
Beacon Hill one.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Beacon Hill.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and obviously I testified in support of the Beacon Hill Home Rule petition, though...
No, it's not Beacon Hill. It's the legislation, a Home Rule petition to allow us to consider local significance rather than national, state, and local significance.
So we would love to have a conversation. I think there are some additional developments with our Director of Historic Preservation, who believes that we may have a ground on which to stand to designate local landmarks without needing. So we should have that conversation. That's something we can talk about more.
Yeah, and I think You know, again, I think it's like a little bit of good housekeeping to try and tidy that up and,
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
a clear path so that when we come in here and we fight to preserve for something that's of local significance, that we actually have some tools in the kit to help that.
Great. Yes, and he'll be presenting tomorrow night to the Landmarks Commission. I'm not sure that they'll be able to get to that level of depth, but this is something that's also come in the Commemoration Commission. There are also some opportunities. So we have a number of places where folks are having the conversations about what possibilities we might have that do not require legislation. So we'll keep that conversation.
It's a good thing.
Well, do not require the State House to pay attention to
the minutiae of our process.
Because there is precedent at the national level for the support of local designations, and so I think there's a way in which we might argue if the national legislation recognizes that and the national legislation is referred to in our local legislation, then we could use national legislation to support the designation of local landmarks. So I think there's some exciting conversations and questions about how we might update that policy. I'd be overjoyed if the legislature would take it out, but finding a pathway that does not require them to take it out is also
that'd be wonderful.
Strong possibility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can say that I certainly will be happy to work with you on that because I think it's really important.
Thank you so much, Counselor. And sorry, I was referring to the extension of the Beacon Hill Historic District, which I testified in support of. That was on my brain because it's in my district.
That does have to go to the legislature.
And that also needs to get tidied up as well. But thank you so much, Counselor. And just want to say thank you so much to everyone for your leadership. And it's not lost on me that we do sit in a building that is pending historic landmark. You know, whether you
like it or not.
Like it or not, I like it, but you know, I think we're all having these conversations in our, you know, we're at I think 55 years of the City Hall being open to the public last month. So I posted about that, and it's a really exciting opportunity. But there are many exciting opportunities in our city, and I thank you all for shepherding it, and I thank everyone who attended today in order to be part of the conversation and be part of that civic work. And I'm really honored to chair this committee, and we are trying to move expeditiously because we know how important these appointments are, and we know how important quorum is, and we know how important these voices will be to the conversation. So I think I've done everything. Is there any public testimony here today? Seeing none, I think all of the folks who signed up for public testimony were actually appointments. So seeing none, as the chair of Planning, Development, Transportation, I'm calling this hearing to a close.
Good job.